Can you hear me? Hello? No microphone. Hello? Hello? All right. I will be stepping to the next room to get some. Oh, wait, here's some. Clean this off. And try to get this to work. If we go off, it would be very helpful. Come on. Okay, so maybe the light will quit flashing, or maybe not. Either way we look at it, it is what it is. Sorry for the flashing lights. That's the way it is in here. We have no other choice but to do what we're doing. Okay, so let's look at this problem. It says at the instant shown, the 100-pound block A is moving down the plane at 5 feet per second. Okay, the board's not dry. Okay, so it's moving down with attached to the 50-pound block. Yep, that's a marker. Okay. £50-pound block right there. The coefficient of friction between these two, 0.2. Determine the acceleration of A and the distance it slides before it stops. Okay. I'm going to do A right up here. Wait a minute. Let's see what you can see. You can see up to this edge. Portion of it going in one direction, portion going the other. This is my free body diagram. There's my normal force. And since it is in the process of moving, that's it. So what we have to do, I don't want to zoom it in, but I need to get rid of the arrowhead so I can see this a little bit better. Since I've got the free body diagram up here, I'm going to let this I'm going to work on this and translate the information over to here. We have this triangle here, and we have this being a 3, 4, 5. If in fact I look at that angle, and if I move this plane up, this is one way to do it. If I move this plane up, eventually these two coalesce, and these two coalesce. So that would be the same angle. The other way to look at this is the fact that this vertical line is like this one. This line is like that one. So the angle here, so I'll call this A, I'll call this B. Now that I have that, I can start looking at a correlation between these two. I'm just doing this in a complete form. So let me zoom in on this. Four, 3, 5. This is angle A. This is angle B. I don't know which side you want to work off of. I'll just pick B. So the sine of B is equal to 3/5. The cosine of B is equal to 4/5. So since I seem to be focusing on B, I'm going to ignore A here, although you would get the same thing if you did A. So this will be 100, and since it is sitting over here, it would be sine of B, or 100 times 3/5, which 5 will knock that out to 20, that'll give you 60. So it'll be 60 rolling this way. Okay, you want to look at this one. This would be, get that out of the way. This would be 100 cosine B, or 100 times 4/5, or 80. Therefore, this would be 80. Therefore, this would be 0.2 times 80, or twice of 8, which would be 16. Now, let's, B will do, I guess I'll do the equations for this, then go over that. Okay, so sum of the forces, we're going to pick this as being the positive direction. We'll just call it X is equal mass times acceleration in that positive direction for A. Now, all I got to do, just look at these. I only have that one, and I only have this one. I do have a tension, which is just this wire here, or rope. So there is a tension here. Likewise, if this doesn't have mass and this doesn't have mass, neglect the mass of the pulleys and cables. And this will be tension, two tensions. That's slid off to the side. That'll be two tensions, and therefore this will be a tension. So again, I'll look at the free body over here in a second, but I'm just putting the tension here and I'm focusing on this one right now. Going this way, I get 60. I get minus the tension. Need room, so minus mu n is equal to mass of A, the acceleration of A. Since this became 16, I have 60 minus 16 minus tension equals to, I'll go ahead and put this in 100, I believe, 32.2, acceleration of A. I'm not done yet, but I'm going to box it and deal with it in a minute. I'm going to subtract those off, divide these out, do things like that, but for the moment, I'm going to work over here on this one. Okay, so if I do a free body diagram here, this has no mass, and I look at it, sum of the forces in the y direction, say, equal mass times acceleration of this pulley, but there is no mass, meaning if this is tension, this is tension, this tension, this rope comes around, tension that rope, means that these two 2T is equal to 2T. So I get these being tension, tension, and another tension. So now I can pull this one off. And since I've kind of worked here, I'll work this little bitty space right here. There's your tension. There's your 50 pounds. Sum of the forces. I'm going to call this positive. Equals to mass B, acceleration of B. Then I made that positive, so I get tension minus 50 equals to 50-pound block. Acceleration of B. They are bound through a rope. In this rope, you're looking at the rope equations now. This pulley system can move up and down, so it's not fixed. But this one's fixed, and that one's fixed. So what I'm going to do, I'll go ahead and get rid of some of this, if it's even possible. This will be SA. Okay, now I've got all this stuff over here. Let me see if I can get rid of it as well. Now, S of C, and I don't know, I can take it from here, but I'm just going to take it from this imaginary place right here on the rope. The distance from here and here, this bolt could be put right there, as long as the bolt didn't interfere with the block. S, D to D. Now, I got two ropes. I got this one, and then I got that one. So let me look at, I have a tiny amount of space here. I believe I can work in that space. Yeah, it's visible on the camera. L of this first one is equal to the delta, the parts that's sitting over this, and right here, SA plus 2 SC. Now, you take one derivative, then I can take another derivative, but these two items don't change. So what I'll have is 0 is equal to SA double dot plus 2SC double dot. Let's hold on to that in our brains. And I've cramped everything to the right. So this and this is a duplicate of that. So maybe I'll try to use this space. Now I'll look at the length of this rope. Of course, it's the delta. It's the delta could be that part and this part plus, looks like to me, has two SD. However, there's another issue here, okay? If I look at SD, I have no connection to this other equation. I'm going to go ahead and do this. My problem is I need this rope length to be tied to that one. So what I need to do is I need to do this in a slightly different way. And what I need to do, well, I guess I could do it that way. Okay. Now, this distance from here to here will remain fixed, so I'll call it F. So I'll generate another equation. Okay. Now, when I'm looking at this, one of the things I'll see, there's two ways. Let me look at this for a minute. Maybe I should use the datum at the top to measure the distance to the bottom. If I do that, here's what I'm going to try to do. Okay, so again, what I'm trying to do is if you look at this, this distance might change, but I need to have a connection between this motion and that motion, meaning that SA won't be involved in it, but somehow in the motion of this equation, I have to have SC into the motion of this equation. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin this to, okay, so I'm drawing a line across here. And I'm drawing to right there. So now I'm going to erase this stuff and see if I can come up with a relationship to here. Okay, now let's think about this for a minute. This may take me a minute to think about. I'm drawing a blank, but we'll just call this SB. No, I won't call this SB. I'll call this, I'll call it SB. Now, I'll look at the rope in that context, the rope length in that context. Okay, so the rope length in this context is that distance. Now I'm going to have some, I'll call it delta 1 right there, fixed delta 1. And I'll have to include it in this list. So if I look at this distance, it becomes that minus this minus that. Okay, so give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and include the deltas, which are still this and this, plus SB minus delta 1 minus SC. Again, the reason I did that is because when you have these rope equations and I'm pulley connecting them, somehow this equation has to tie itself to this one. It's not going to tie itself through the SA because it's up here. So only SC. So I have to measure this length, relating it to how it changed relative to this length from here and here. Okay, so I got two of these. But the problem is, okay, now that I have this is SB minus that, that's this part. So let me do it this way. SB minus delta 1 minus SC.
So if you add this to that, you'll get SB. Now, the problem is there are two of these. Okay, I still got to put my delta. Now, take two derivatives down, and you'll get this times 2 SB double dot, and this 2 SC double dot. Now, what this means is I can move one of these to the other, and SB double dot equal to SC double dot. Now, I'm going to take this boxed equation and that box. So I'm going to label these boxes 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have all the necessary ingredients to combine. So I'm going to take 1 and 2. 1 and 2 would yield me, and I'll just copy it down. And then I can move this one over. Minus. I can combine these two, and you can see that C is equal to B, so I can just simply do this. So I've generated myself an equation. However, at this particular point, we have to really look at some information here. Okay, in this equation, in 3, this was positive. In the rope equation, this was positive. Since they are both in the same direction, SA double dot is equal to the acceleration of A. So in other words, this is equal to that. Now, in this one, SB points downward. But guess what? I made the acceleration point upward. Since these are in opposite directions, then SB double dot is equal to minus acceleration of B. Again, I have done it in red here for this reason. This is positive. Pointing down is positive. I got two opposite directions here. Now there's two things I can do. One is I can replace this with SA double dot, or I can use this combination to leave acceleration A and to exchange B in such a way that B gets exchanged with A. So let me do that. I'm going to leave this equation alone. I'm going to shoot for changing this. How do I do that? Well, we can work it out through these three things. How is acceleration of B related to acceleration of A? So what I'm going to do, acceleration of B, because I'm shooting to change this, is equal to minus SB double dot. Now, here's the thing. If I look at this, I see something interesting. If in fact I were to put a 2 in front of it, okay, so in other words, acceleration of B is equal to SB with a minus sign in front of it. Multiply times 2, and now I see here what exists here. So this will become SA double dot. I look here and I say, hey, this from
acceleration of A. So 2, acceleration of B, is equal to acceleration of A. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to replace this with that. So acceleration of B is equal to acceleration of A divided by 2. So now I have two unknowns and two equations. I have this one and have that one. And at this particular point, I could lay them out here, and I'll erase this part, move them this way. Hopefully I didn't make a mistake there, and if I did, then that's just the way life is. And you can fix it. So I'll slide this one over. Okay, 60 minus 10 is 50 minus 6 is 44 minus t equals 100, 32.2, acceleration of A. T minus 50 is equal to 50 over 32.2 to the acceleration of A. I'll put the 2 under here with the 32. Now, you can just add them. 44 and minus 50. T and minus T. I'm adding them, remember. So at this particular point, you could figure out a number for acceleration of A. It's going to be a minus number. So I'm just going to say number. And I'll leave that to you to figure out. What does this tell us? This tells us this is the positive acceleration. So this means that this block is decelerating, going slower. So if you take a time snap, it's going 5 feet per second. Instant later, maybe it's going 4.9 feet per second. So I'm too lazy to find this number, but you can find that. Now, here's the thing about this. The weights did not change. The coefficient of friction did not change. So therefore, all these numbers I've calculated, this is the constant acceleration. Does not change. Whatever that number is. I don't know what it's going to be. It's not going to be large. If it's a constant acceleration, S equals S naught plus V naught T plus acceleration. Usually, I can't remember if they put a subscript here, over 2 t squared. So here's the thing. You have to decide which direction is positive. Okay, so you already did, that's positive. You have a velocity of v naught of 5, an acceleration, whatever this number is, minus number, and he wants you to know the distance A slides before it stops. If you move this S to the other side, that's the distance it moves before it stops. I have a number here, and then you got a number right there. So at this point, you can figure out the other thing. Okay, so before you figure out that, you need to know the time it takes to stop.
Okay, so let's move this back one space and say velocity is equal to v naught plus acceleration of t. Okay, my initial velocity was 5 minus whatever number this is times t. When does it stop? When the velocity is equal to 0. So again, the block's moving at a speed, and then suddenly it stops. When it stops, velocity is 0. How long did it take till that velocity stopped? Well, I don't know, 5 divided by whatever that silly number is. That's the t. Now you take that t, you stick that t right here, you stick it right here with that number, and with this number, and you'll get the distance it went, until the distance it went, till the point there it stopped. All right. And apparently there's your numbers. Okay, so I'm 5 minutes till the end of class, and that one, I think I'll do that one and that one on Friday. So I'll call it good for a day.